Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye has friends. No, really, Jeff has friends. Jeff's friends are on this podcast. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship.
Friendship.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Jeff Dye's Friendship Podcast. In the old Fortress of Solid Dudes this week, we have Dustin Nickerson. Very, very, very funny comic and just a great, wholesome, nice guy. Great comedian, but a good dad and a good husband, we learn on this episode. You guys are going to love this. You're going to love this episode, and we're happy to bring it to you. What else is going on in the world? A lot of crazy things. Before we start, I want to say you can see me in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone for New Year's shows all week. Come out and enjoy those. I hope you guys had a Merry, Merry Christmas. Or you're going to have a Merry Christmas. I hope that you have a good Christmas plans coming up. If you're watching this on Patreon, or you'd like to, go to patreon.com/JeffDye and subscribe, and you can watch this podcast. This episode, my hair looked crazy. I looked like I had crazy hair the whole episode. That's why I'm doing the intro and outro wearing a hat. But if you're just listening, you won't know what I'm talking about. And you won't know what our guest looks like. And we still love you over there at Podbean, Revolver, and iTunes. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. But like I said, if you want to watch on Patreon, or if you already are, we love you. And go to patreon.com/JeffDye. Enjoy the episode. I know we did. We're in. I'm so excited. Tony, how's your week, babe?
It's good. It's good. I'm getting ready to move.
Yeah, it's happening.
That's moving sucks.
It's the worst.
He means his stuff, not just his body.
Yeah,
but I hear that you have not a lot of possessions, so how hard can it be?
Yeah, I don't. But I have furniture. I have
he can Uber pool his whole move.
Yeah, no, not
He's like, oh, this is going to be exhausting.
Not quite. I have
one desk.
Yeah, I have a big desk and a bed. And
oh, you have a bed.
And I have a big TV now that I bought on Cyber Monday that I haven't taken out of the box yet. Because I'm like,
got a case of pop sockets.
It doesn't fit. Yeah, I have 1 million pop sockets now.
1 million pop sockets with your Anakin Santa face on it.
Yeah, but
I'm into that.
It'll be good. I'm excited to get to the new place and settle in.
I'm excited for you.
A bear flag, just like as a housewarming gift, so everyone that sees you just thinks you're gay as fuck. Oh wait, I can't say that in 2018.
Yeah, what a weird thing to just launch into.
Yeah. Well, he's bearish as hell, dude. Look at my fucking bear buddy.
Do you run any ideas by your brain?
So this is just every time he says stuff like that.
Does it sound like it?
Whenever he says stuff like that, I know he's just trying to take the gay cub heat off of himself.
Of course,
by trying to put some bear heat on me.
Yeah, because if I come over.
But also, think we're excited to have you settle in. He's like, I should get you a flag of a...
Yeah, totally.
Like, whoa, work with it. You don't have to...
Nah, dude. I go hard in.
That's Heel Marsh. If this is your first episode, that's Heel Marsh. And he's going to do what he wants to do. Because that's what heels do. He has no regard for anything. He just will say inappropriate things. He'll chime in and then he'll leave, and we'll hear him again next week, where he'll come back with some.
I don't know. I'm waiting for the day I get blocked off of this podcast.
That won't happen. But you could get suspended.
Yeah. As a heel, that's good. You want to get booed as a heel.
Absolutely.
Sure. That adds to the lore of it.
I go after the commish.
I want people to go, did you... Or what are you going to do about this guy? And I'm like, don't worry, we're taking care of it. Yeah. And he's suspended, but he'll still be here.
If you're a good enough heel, they'll start liking you.
No, but just like in wrestling, he'll still be here. And people are like, we thought you suspended him. I'm like, I did. He just shows back up. And then we'll be like, Aaron, you're suspended. And he'll like chime in. We'll be like, Aaron,
microphone on and everything.
You're suspended. Yes. Why do you keep talking? So it'll be fun. The voice you are hearing to my left is one of my favorite people. Very, very talented comedian. We have a lot of things in common. We both love comedy. Mm-hmm. We both love Jesus. We both love the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. We both love... pumpkin spice latte, you like them?
I do, yeah. But I more so don't hate them, and I don't like people's hate for them.
And the only reason I brought that up or presumed that you might like pumpkin spice latte is because he has in my opinion, the tweet of the year.
Tweet
Out
of
of
the
all
year.
the people I've seen tweets, I'll give him the trophy for tweet of the year. I might botch it a little bit of word wise, but
You'll get the
basically
spirit
the
of it.
tweet is: imagine being so hurt when you're young that you grow up to judge people just for loving pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
What a great tweet. I've never identified with anything more. In fact, one of the most successful bits I had on the internet first was about pumpkin spice lattes and the judgment that comes with that. Which
why?
maybe we'll play that.
Why can't I just have a sweet treat?
Yeah, it's
and
sugar.
It not
My mouth
be a
likes
big
sugar.
deal to
Yeah.
you. Meanwhile, like they pound an apple fritter down their face as if that's any different. Oh, but you like the pumpkin flavor? I was like, you're eating cupcakes.
We're all having sugar.
We all love sweet stuff.
Yeah, your wife is eating a red velvet cupcake pop out of the same case.
What did you get married and shove celery down each other's face? Relax,
That's
everybody.
really
Just
weird.
relax.
Dustin Nickerson.
That's me. I clap for myself here.
That's right,
To the
dude.
someone's
fortress.
gotta-
Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Fortress of Solid Dudes.
I cannot focus in this room.
Which is, oh really? You like it?
It's wonderful, but
Thank
there's
you.
just 1,000 things to be distracted
There's a lot of
by.
Magic Eye posters.
When you're not married or have a girlfriend or kids or nothing, you literally just go, what am I going to do with this money? I guess I'll get all the things I wanted when I was 8.
This feels like Big.
Yeah.
The movie Big.
Oh, yeah.
I've described
often-
these places that
What if I
before
put a
too.
trampoline in the house? That's next. It'll be
So
the-
many people have said that. They're
Yeah.
like, you're like the movie Big. And you know what's why I like that compliment or that observation and why I see it as a compliment is because Daniel Tosh used to get that all the time when he was like young in his career. People were
Yeah.
like, have you been to Daniel's house? He has like all the things. Actually, Andrew Slater, I said one time, I go, you won't believe what I got. He goes, Jeff, I will believe it. And whatever, I'm sure you have it. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's.
I
I'm
love
sure you have
all
it.
of it. One of the things that like I preach to my kids the most is staying young at heart.
Yeah.
Like why grow old?
By
why
your
grow
kids, do you
old
mean
and
Jeff?
cynical? No, Jeff. I don't know how old you
I'm
are.
practicing it though.
Jeff.
I'm young at
Well,
heart.
It's beautiful. It's great. Like that's the same thing. It's the same idea of just like don't get old and then therefore like think that the things of your youth were bad or immature or not. It was like they're wonderful then, they're wonderful now.
That's one of the beauties of 2018. You can just like stuff.
Yeah.
You're allowed
Oh,
to
yeah.
like anything you want. Like my dad had to. I don't know if that's a good example with my dad.
Unless you have a
but
brand.
I imagine there was a time where you would have to be like, oh, I don't watch Star Trek. I'm not, but you loved it.
Yeah.
Whereas like now you just see like 40-year-old guys wearing like Pokemon shirts and like no
Yeah.
one's saying nothing. They're just like, all right, like you can like whatever you
Yeah,
want.
that was the old coming out of the closet. Like someone came to your house and saw that like you had like Klingon makeup and they're like, "Oh, this is
Right.
what you do."
That's why I'm excited for wrestling. I'm always wearing wrestling jackets
Yeah.
and things out in public, and it's well received every time I wear the stuff. Like just strangers will come up to me and be like, "That's a great jacket.
Yeah.
I love Undertaker, the NWO, or whatever." And because I do think wrestling still does live in a little weird area of judgment.
Which is interesting cuz is there anything more mainstream numbers wise?
Right, more fun.
Yeah, like I mean, everybody's watching it. Everybody knows. Everyone's like, "Yeah, wrestling's dumb," and then everybody knows who John Cena is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
They all love The Rock.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, he's a good actor. Oh, you know where he used to act, where you
Yeah.
know him from? Yeah.
I can't help but think about The Rock every time I watch SportsCenter and like Coachman's on. I'm like, this guy spent like a decade just being called a candy ass and bullied by The Rock. He would literally like poke his face and like make him turn his back. He put a towel over his head. Like he did some pretty offensive things.
And the fact that we still call him The Rock. Like,
yeah.
we haven't
yeah. We call
graduated to
him his
Dwayne
stage
yet.
name,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, no, I'm not calling him Dwayne Johnson.
When
I'm
you
gonna
do, you
fuck-
call
that
him-
is his wrestling name. That's amazing.
When you do call him what do you call him? You call him Dwayne
The Rock
Johnson.
Johnson.
Even though we all know there's no
Right.
other Dwayne Johnsons. You're like, maybe your accountant, maybe, but like you're like just
That
so.
happened at my work once where Dwayne Johnson was supposed to come in and we all were just like he's coming.
He's gonna be.
He's coming. Like
Can't
we
wait
were
to see
prepared.
those lats in person.
Well, Dwayne Johnson is a very awful name. That's not a successful
Yeah.
name. It sounds like a
just an
banker.
average name.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah,
banker.
not successful in that world.
You could
that's
be
for
rich
sure. Yeah.
as a Dwayne Johnson, but you couldn't be
I think it's
a
assumed you're
celebrity
rich if
if
No, it
you're
sounds like an
Dwayne.
average football player, which is what he was.
Right.
I don't even think it sounds like a football player. Dwayne
Dwayne.
Johnson.
Yeah. Maybe a Dwayne Johnston.
Yeah.
That might be a football player.
If the first letters are the same as dweeb, like it's not
Yeah,
going to be
dwa.
dwa. No, dwa sounds cool.
I'm Dwayne. You're like, what? It's
But
two
you're right,
names.
Dwayne. Now
Dwayne.
that sounds a little bit like
I'm
a
into
yeah.
it. Sounds tough.
Dwa. What a lame. All right.
So one of the things I want to start with, don't look at all this. This
Okay,
is
I'm
just
sorry.
my
He's
notes.
got
I've got
yours.
plenty of other things to look
Hey,
at.
I'm gonna keep your glasses so you don't read anything else.
So
Yeah,
you opened
everything.
for John Christ, right?
I do. I have been like quite a bit over the last 6 months. Yeah.
I love John Christ, and the venues he does would be extremely difficult because they're clean. Like, right? You have to work clean.
Yeah.
You can't work dirty if you're gonna open
What
for
level
a
of
guy
clean?
at a theater of like church people.
The squeakiest.
So like if I was like butthole,
Nope.
No butthole.
No butthole.
I'm out.
No.
Okay. Now,
You could say but you can't add the hole.
oh,
That's not allowed. Yeah.
that's same for TV.
yeah.
Hole is a problem.
Yeah.
no, hole's the good part.
Butt is,
You could say
know,
holy. You could add
all
that,
right.
but you
but
can't
it's
say
totally different word. You're changing the word.
But
You couldn't be like,
holy.
I'm gonna put in his butt holy. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's what the Holy Ghost are, right? Just butthole first.
Yeah. That's the yeah.
So you have to work clean.
Yeah.
Is that hard for you, or do you already just write clean anyway?
Yeah, I work clean anyways.
Okay.
The sets
This
are the
clean?
same. For the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like a couple topics that I wouldn't like. I have like a joke like about like getting a vasectomy that I wouldn't do in a church, even though it would work.
Sure.
It would just there'd be a tension that I don't need to put there.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't. You know, just like why do this? It's a
What if you said I had a medical procedure done to my private, so I
Yeah.
can't have
Well, the-
babies
let's
in
put
it?
it this way.
punchline
We
I
turned
say
the lights out on my
the
wiener.
punchline is
Or would they be like, that procedure's a sin?
this is I think an interesting like that's true. No, that's an interesting like the right word because not to do the joke, but like I think it feeds into what you're talking about. So the joke is like I was nervous to get it, and my wife said, "Don't worry, it only hurts about as bad as a kick in the balls." And I go, and that's the joke. I was like, "Honey, you have to understand. Like I've never scheduled a kick in the balls.
Right.
It's
I never saw it coming.
Yeah, that joke would work on TV.
Right.
No, but balls is the problem. Like, and
Yeah.
but it's not funny without that word.
What if
Right.
it's
like
the
if I
junk?
said, yeah, it's not funny. The junk.
I also like you should like the idea of like being like very rarely are women not able to understand something from a man's perspective.
yeah.
But it appears you have no idea how awful a
Yeah.
kick in the
It
balls
doesn't-
is.
it's like I would never. If somebody sent me that meeting invite, I would hit decline. I
Yeah.
don't want to put. That's the tag. It's like I've never.
Don't worry, honey. It only hurts about as much as like childbirth. And she'd be like, "I'm sorry. Do you know how painful childbirth
I've never
is?"
had a copay for one of these.
Yeah.
I paid $20.
Also, it's hell
I
on earth.
have.
Getting
Yeah.
hit in the balls. Also, let's talk about this. I don't know if this is funny or not, but when I was young and like I'm thinking like elementary school, junior high, and a little bit into high school, I feel like I was getting hit in the nuts pretty often. It happened a lot.
Yeah.
And then the last time I got hit in the
Big
nuts.
part of childhood for
It's
a
a
guy.
lot. How is it happening so much?
A lot of
And then
soccer
as an
games.
adult, like
Way
I
more than hide and
accidentally
seek.
landed on my balls when I was like jumping in a pool once, and I was like, "Oh, I did this to myself." But like when you're growing up, it's all the time.
Yeah, it's a fluke thing as an adult, like a basketball you didn't see coming,
Yeah,
or something,
Or like a little kid, your like niece actually
Yeah.
like bumps into, and you're like, "Oh
yeah,
God!" Like be
something like
careful.
that. Yeah,
You know?
but it is a big part of childhood.
Yeah, it's
because
too
just
big.
kids are all males to each other, just awful. Hey, what's
Yeah.
the worst thing I can do? Okay, let's do
Well,
that.
Jeff
Yeah.
also played sports dick first. You know,
Yeah,
like
I did.
everything was
I was like,
just.
where do I catch it?
yeah.
And you're like,
I'm holding coffee.
you're like,
You're
this
like,
doesn't
hey,
even
you're crowding the plate.
this doesn't
Jeff.
even make sense
Oh,
for
like this.
bowling.
Yeah, it's very weird.
All of this can't do on that show. Those shows.
Now let's. So I've actually texted you about this before because I'm so interested in like getting into those markets. But then you mentioned like, yeah, but then you'd have to take down all the things on the internet that you might have that are inappropriate
Like
because
this
if they're looking
podcast?
to book you, they might look at stuff and then go, oh, we can't have this guy at the church. Like, look at all this stuff. Kind of checking your old tweets like Kevin Hart or
Yeah,
something.
there
They'd be
is a
looking
lot of
through
that.
it.
Yeah, there's a lot of like they want to know like because their biggest fear
Is that you're going to show up and offend a
and
bunch
offend
of people.
people
Yeah.
because you're an ambassador of their organization at that point. The
And
same
I think
thing-
that the church is the only people that are allowed, in my opinion, they're the only ones that should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, this is a thing.
yeah, absolutely.
You came into a church.
Yeah. Now it's different. John's reached a level where it's different on his shows because he's selling tickets. Those people are there to see John Christ. And sometimes we're in churches and sometimes we're in, I mean, at this point, his ticket sales are unbelievable.
Right.
Like we did the Verizon Center. That's
Right.
6,200. Like
That's insane.
it's nuts.
Right.
And we go in there and it's like, you understand that most of the folks in here are probably Christians, but you can get away with a little more. You can make jokes about drinking or like or race stuff. Whereas like if I'm doing like a church's
it's a church. Race stuff's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I'm doing a church's staff Christmas party and they're like, hey, we hired a comedian, I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a lot of donut material.
Oh yeah. Well, that's fine. That's the stuff I like anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I like those jokes anyway.
That's my favorite. I could talk about a spider for like 7 minutes. But when so how did you meet John? How did that happen?
John and I just met. We were in like a showcase together, and then we just kind of stayed in touch, just running because he was out here for a while, and we'd run into each other on the road. Comics. You meet each other, and you're like, but he was like. He wasn't who he is when I met him. He was just grinding.
Yeah.
He was almost exactly what I'm doing right now.
How long ago was it?
5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's been last year or two where he's like popped.
Yeah, things have been crazy. Yeah,
it's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch. Yeah, and also like I couldn't happen to a better guy. It's really nice.
Yeah, and you're always happy when it happens to guys that work hard.
Yeah, and that's why I'm rooting for you to not do well. Like I don't think you work hard enough. But like John, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That's a worker.
No, Dustin, terrible human. Better comic? No, I don't.
No,
not at all.
I didn't say that.
No.
Wait, so are you like a religious guy or like a church guy?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. So that's perfect.
Yeah,
It's a good fit.
I'm not an imposter when I'm there. Like,
Yeah.
and it's. And
well, it's not an imposter if you're performing at church and doing jokes about donuts. Like,
Right.
like I would be like, no, he's just being clean.
Well, like that's so. Like when I do gigs, like this happened today. I'm doing a gig in March, and they said you can bring an opener, and I said, here are some guys, and I said in an email, I was like, just so you know, some of these guys aren't Christians, but they can work perfectly clean and they can vouch for them. And so like Zoltan's coming up with me, and Zoltan's not Zoltan Cass. Yeah, he's not a Christian, but he can work clean. And I think
the name sort of sounds like a warlock, and so I'd be suspicious. They'd be like Zoltan.
Yeah, he's
that
got the
sounds
long
like-
hair. So it's
That
like,
sounds like he comes from
What are
gypsies.
his thoughts on Harry Potter?
So yeah, like you're not an imposter as long as they know going in. Like
Okay.
that's what I try and do with expectations because it's so to me it's like so silly. It's like, oh, the Christians are going to entertain the Christians now. It's like I think just the best comedian should be
Right.
in here, and if you want to do a good comedy show, but I get it that people go and Google him later, and they're like,
Right.
he's got this bit about whatever. And when you Google Zoltan, it's all about cats. So
that's
you're safe.
Yeah. But it does suck that
are
like
the cats involved in witchcraft?
Yes, well, obviously,
Okay.
all
All
it
cats
sucks
are.
that maybe they would look at those sort of things and care.
Yeah, I try and empathetically understand it from their perspective and just be like, okay, I understand. But I don't disagree that I'm like, hey, if we're just putting on a great show, let's put on a great show.
Here's
and
a question about like Twitter, right? Like, let's say I have a tweet that was really funny, got a lot of retweets, a lot of likes, but it was like 4 years ago. It's just buried under the 20,000 tweets that I've posted.
Right.
And someday maybe someone could look at that and go like, oh, this was a little edgy or a little like
happening to people
maybe we shouldn't book them on this corporate event. Like
Yeah.
that seems like an inappropriate line about marriage or something. That's a negative. I'm not going to get the booking maybe because they saw a tweet from like 4 years ago. However, could that tweet ever help me?
Yeah.
We know it can ruin me.
Yeah.
We know it can make me lose gigs. But
Yeah.
is there anything that I can tweet that is there anything that's already been tweeted that
Yeah.
will possibly help me?
No. The answer is no, I think.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's to me. I feel that way about working clean. I mean, comedy is an art form. Do what you want with it.
Sure.
Tell whatever bits you. If you want to do 20 minutes on rape, do 20 minutes on rape. It's your art form. I don't care. I don't. It's not a. To me,
Which is maybe that's a good note for John Christ.
Yeah.
If you want to do 20 minutes about rape.
if you working clean, or at least having the ability to working clean, it doesn't take you out of any opportunity. It only gives you other opportunities, because there are a lot of gigs, not just church, plenty of gigs that go, you have to be clean to work.
But I could do an hour squeaky clean.
Right,
And
totally.
funny. I
Yeah.
know that I would demolish.
Right, exactly.
But what's the hesitation is this podcast where I say things that I think are very funny that are inappropriate or like I think racial things are hilarious. I just do. I know people disagree with that. They don't like that. I don't think racism is I think racism is one of the most disgusting things in the world.
Right.
But that doesn't mean there's not some funny about it.
Sure, absolutely.
I love some racism. I think that's very funny.
Well, you're in the business of funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you can't, that's the biggest lie we were ever told as kids is that not everything is funny. Incorrect. Everything is so funny. Everything is so just. Sometimes you got to give it a minute, but it's pretty funny eventually.
The fact we talk about the planet that are so wrong is very, very funny.
That are so what? Wrong.
Yeah, they're just wrong-minded people that go out there thinking all these weird, hateful things. That's funny, and that should be addressed.
Isn't it crazy because how everyone doesn't agree with us? Isn't that crazy? Like, yes. It's so funny how people don't share my exact view on everything.
Well, that's true. I mean, like that's what people are doing in their brains all the time. But I was thinking about like there's nothing I love more in the world than animals. But I find the idea of harm to animals very funny. like National Lampoon did like this magazine cover in like the 80s or whatever, where it's a dog and it's actually a funny photo of a dog. Even just the photo of the dog makes me laugh.
Right.
And they're holding a gun to the dog's head and it says, if you don't buy this magazine, we're gonna shoot this dog. And obviously no one's shooting a dog. Obviously you don't have to buy it. The dog's safe. It's a model dog. He probably got his owner got paid. Who's looking at that going, that is it's hilarious.
It's funny and it's a commentary and there's some irony there and it's
no
funny.
One's shooting dogs, but the idea that someone would be so crazy to shoot a dog if you don't buy a magazine is hilarious.
Yeah, I think all that's funny. And I like when I find that inappropriateness in my own life. Like we were talking about Zoltan. I remember Zoltan and I did this once. We were doing a gig. We were doing a run of gigs up here, and it was near Mother's Day. And there was somebody selling. There was like an old Japanese man selling bonsai trees out of a van on the side of the road. And we're like, "Hey, it's Mother's Day. I'll get one for my wife. You get one for your mom." And we went there, and he would say bonsai. Like in the most stereotypical way you would expect an old judge as a bonsai tree.
Yeah.
And then for 2 days,
you couldn't help it.
We couldn't help but say bonsai, which is like if you put that in a tweet or like you look back, it's like that's so offensive. But I was like, but I can't.
But it isn't.
But yeah, but some people will respond and it's like, no, it's just funny to say bonsai. That's very satisfying to say it like in the mouth.
It's an impression.
And nobody's hurt by that.
Nobody should be offended by the way you're saying that.
But we would say it. It's not for stage. We would say it and we would giggle. Yeah. And nobody's hurt by this scenario.
And then Groot's upset because you're making fun of trees.
Yeah, Groot is
one of my favorite.
But if that word got out, there are 50,000 middle-aged white women in America named Kathy that are offended by that.
Right. And a lot of young people.
Yeah, and who will champion, you know, that I can't host the Oscars.
Well, and also, the funny thing about what you just said is like, so one of my favorite observations, besides your pumpkin spice tweet, was a Judd Apatow line when he did The Tonight Show, where he said, any drawing of a Jewish person is inherently anti-Semitic. If you're drawing it correct, it's anti-Semitic.
If you draw it correct.
And I love that observation because sometimes if you're just explaining something accurately, they're like, that's so racist. You're like, no, it's exactly how it went down. Yeah. I'm just telling you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That's how the guy said bonsai.
Yeah.
That's the correct way to pronounce it if you're speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
It's not offensive.
Yeah, not at all. Nobody's hurt by this. I'm literally just relaying facts.
It's not from a place of hate.
Now, do I hate Japanese people? Sure. Not related.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unrelated.
Completely
unrelated.
That's not a... We need to put a little ding every time there's a sarcastic thing that we're afraid people won't catch.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
That was that great new Sam Morril bit that he did, right? Where I don't even remember what the joke was, but he said like, "Dear New York Times, please never touch a joke again." You know, like nobody, like, of course, there is a line for everything, and a line can be crossed. As like, but in general, if you just script out my comedy act,
anybody's comedy.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like you would look at like that dude hates his kids,
right?
I have a joke that I'd say like, we need to stop telling kids to believe in their dreams. Now, in the context of the whole bit,
it makes sense.
It does well. It's a nice little joke, and it's a fun little premise. If you just read a script of that, this is the worst father.
Yeah, why would he do this? Why does he hate liberals?
Obviously, I believe in chasing dreams. I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Give me some context.
Yeah. It's like the PETA thing that just came out.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
gosh.
and we could touch on this. I have two thoughts on that. For the people that don't know what he's referring to, is that PETA tweeted, and they wrote
Stop saying these things.
that words, the same way it's not okay to use words about demographics of people, we need to also get rid of things that are offensive to like animals. Like not the animal would be offended, but like putting animals in a negative connotation.
Sure.
So instead of saying feed two birds or kill two birds with one stone, maybe say feed two birds with one scone. Or instead of saying
Beat a dead horse.
Instead of saying like be the guinea pig, say be the test tube. Or instead of beat a dead horse, you say
Feed a fed horse.
Feed a fed horse.
They just turned them
And
into
instead
Dr.
of-
Seuss rhymes.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think that their initial tweet of like we need to use words that don't depict violence towards animals. I think that's so silly, and like they're obviously so whatever. But I'll defend them in the fact that I think they were trying to be cute with the chart.
Yeah.
I think the chart was their attempt at humor. I think that was them going like, I don't think they're really saying,
You know what, Peter? Stay in
hey,
your lane.
say this instead of this.
Let's stay out of the sense of humor
Yeah,
world.
I don't think that they were trying. I don't think that was them being serious. I
When
think that
most of your brand is like showing pictures of tortured animals, like
Yeah.
stay away from cute.
They should do tortured animal memes.
Yeah, why don't you stay away from puns? This is
I
a
wish
little
that
off
PETA
brand
was
for you.
I know that there's probably lots of people like the person that made that chart probably isn't the same person that runs the whole division of what
yeah.
I'd like to picture PETA just being a big building with just one angry lady. Just one mom who's like,
guess
this is
so.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Lori PETA.
Her name is PETA.
Lori
Yeah.
PETA. That's amazing. So your first set then, if we were to find your first set in stand-up comedy, would it be appropriate and clean? Or was this a choice you made later?
Oh, yeah, no, it's appropriate and clean. Yeah.
At the very first?
Yeah. When comedy's at its best, it's an expression of who you are.
Right.
And
But we're not our best when we first start. That's
no,
why.
that's true. There are jokes that I told that I wouldn't tell now, but they were never. I've never sworn on stage. I've never really done any like dirty sex jokes or anything like that.
Because I'm clean,
Yeah,
but there are nights
yeah,
where I will just like, I like to compare myself to like a Rick Ankiel or something, like in Major League Baseball. Like I can easily be rattled.
yeah.
Like it depends on my mood. It depends on my thing. So like one set you'll be like, he was the most adorable, smiley, clean comedian who was just positive the whole time. And then the same night, on a different set. Like
I saw it. I saw you blow up. My very first show in a comedy club was you.
Oh, really?
At the Comedy Palace.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which I'm headlining December 28th.
Attaboy.
7:30, 9:30. Tickets at thecomedypalace.com.
Hell yeah, dude.
But you didn't lose it on a heckler.
right.
Just some obnoxious drunk woman
Yeah.
yelling stuff.
And I said a lot of things that like I would definitely never say.
You would have never written them.
Right. Exactly. But I had the ability and the thing to say, oh, I know how to take care of
Yeah,
this.
and the genuine emotion, which was like, I like when people are like, oh, do you get scared of hecklers? It's like, no, I get angry at hecklers.
Right.
I get annoyed by
Yeah.
hecklers. Just let me do this
When
thing.
I get annoyed with them, not because I think they're a threat to our business or something, but because they make me someone I'm not.
yeah.
They can turn me into my worst version of myself.
Yeah.
So I will say things like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm like, well, now
Yep.
I've really showed this crowd a side of me that
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't think this is the cute guy that talks about kitty cats anymore. Now he just eviscerated a woman.
It's a hard pivot back into the act.
Right.
Especially when the act is fairly clean cut. I remember though, I wouldn't have been able to articulate it as such though, but I remember, I can't remember all the exact details, but this was a woman that you let bury herself.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was saying idiotic things.
Yeah, totally.
And you kept listening to her and then would just comment on the idiocy of what she was saying. You didn't be like, shut up. You didn't
Right.
lose
I was
it.
like, does it make sense what you just said?
Yeah.
Like I do that. I like that move.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you let the heckler bury themselves because if you're annoyed, usually the crowd is even more annoyed,
Right.
Especially if they
Yeah,
bought
they
a
pay.
ticket. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and they're never going to beat us. We're and
Yeah.
I don't say I'm smart. I know that I'm like educationally I'm not well educated, but I am smart.
Sure.
But I think I'm smart because I'm a comedian. Like comedians you have to be smart to do what we do.
Smart, yeah.
And no audience member is going to be able to beat us.
No.
Unless we're being heckled by another comedian.
Right.
Like I once saw Kenny Johnson. Do you know who he is? Great comedian. Very funny guy. He was heckling Patrice O'Neal. But he didn't even heckle him. He just sat there like in a costume. And his costume was crazy. It was like these tight little skinny jeans with the ass cheeks cut out. This really small like tube top shirt with like lace. He had big glasses.
Yes.
And then he had his fro pulled into like a big puff in the front.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there and he's very good at behaving like a weird crackhead woman kind of.
Yeah.
And so he's just sitting like this and he's in the front row and Patrice is like, man, what's with this motherfucker? Like, what are you doing? Right? He was like really upset. And Kenny didn't even do anything. And Kenny's like, do your act. Tell your little jokes. Like, it was so funny. And that made Patrice annoyed because he's getting laughs. Yeah. And he goes, I didn't say nothing to you. Do your little act. Do your little jokes. And it was so funny. And Patrice was like getting so upset. He was like, man, get this guy out of here, man. Kill yourself, dog. He kept saying kill. And Kenny was like, oh, no, that's what Patrice tried to get a laugh before he kicked him out by going, are you a woman? And he goes, are you a whale? Do your jokes. And he was like, it was so funny. Oh, my gosh. And then when he kicked him out, Kenny started running from the security and like went on stage and hid,
what was happening?
And hid behind Patrice. No one in the club that worked there knew what was going on. Yeah. But there were comics upstairs that knew Kenny was going to pull some bullcrap.
Where was this at?
The Laugh Factory. I'll show you the video. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But with the exception of something like that, the heckler's never going to win. No. Never, ever, ever, ever going to win.
The only chance a heckler has is not the individual heckler. It's if a mob kind of mentality turns against you. When it's just a bad crowd that doesn't want you there, or they're not actively listening or something like that.
Or you get too aggressive.
Well, that's another reason that like I'll often misrepresent myself sometimes, like not all the time, but there's times where I've misrepresented myself on stage because the whole crowd's behind me encouraging it. Yeah. So now I'm like I get drunk with power. I'm like, you are a bitch. It's like there's no reason to call a woman. It's like, but for some reason I'm just starting to like get into like, it's tricky.
I think when I first started, I was genuinely like, when it would happen, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And then you deal with it enough now that it really is just I'm annoyed.
Well, when I first,
I'm so mad when it happens.
Oh, yeah. I don't have it happen hardly ever. Yeah. Almost never.
Well, you do get to a point, and you're much longer into me and a more established headliner, but I've even at my level where you do, as your act gets better and stronger, it invites less heckles. Yeah. Because sometimes they just don't have time to get in.
And you'll eventually never have hecklers either, in my opinion, because of the clean. Being clean brings people who want to see clean comedians. Yeah. People that want to see clean comedians generally aren't drunk or trying to sabotage. Right. It's when you're the, Bert Kreischer, like I'm the machine and we're all getting trashed. Yeah. He's never gonna not have hecklers. Yeah, that's because a lot of drunk people, they might even love Bert, but they're just so trashed that they're like, I gotta get in on this. Like they can't help themselves. So when I first started though, because I want to be clean. I like to write clean. I think it's fun and also think it's more of a representation of myself. But like when I first started, I was just nervous. Like nerves just kicked in. So I just started saying the F word a bunch. And I invited all these people from the church. Yeah. Like, this is what he wanted to do. I'm like,
why do you invite us to this?
It was just all about horrible stuff. And it was like very Dane Cookish. Like I was imitating Dane Cook. So I had like all these big mannerisms. And everyone's like, who is this cretin? Aaron has a great story that I've never heard as long as I've known Aaron, and it's when he first decided he wanted to do comedy. Aaron did not want to be a clean comedian ever. No, but tell him this story that you had an idea for a bit they were going to do,
which is of course is a complete defense mechanism. I want to start off singing. I know now this isn't funny. At the time, I did not know it was not funny,
but it's so not funny that I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's a full circle. I was like, oh no, I'll do like a ventriloquism act, but with a fake vagina. Right. And I'll just write all of those jokes you're already thinking of.
Yeah, that classic bit.
Yeah, that classic bit.
I've also never...
It's more hacky than anything. I mean, I've seen this so many times.
I haven't been to the... But I bought the fake vagina. And I started like working on the thing. And I invited some friends over to be like, check out what I'm going to go do in public.
What was the bit? Explain it.
I would, so I had the vagina in my hand.
Right.
Just grossly in my hand.
A ventriloquist act with a female vagina.
I mean, it really looked like a inside-out gas mask. It was disgusting.
Ugh.
It was... Well, that had the
What a
tube coming out the back.
visual. Yeah,
I know. I wanted to give you the
got it.
grossness. No, I have a picture I'd like to show you.
Okay, we'll post it on the website.
Yeah. Can you draw it, actually? Like a sketch that we're looking for
I
somebody?
have it memorized.
you
Very
draw
vivid. With which digit?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I had to. But it was like to make it even more uncreative, I was just going to ask it regular, like, I'm like the husband sort of things, like, how was your day at work, honey? And the noise it would just make is,
No matter what question.
no matter
he
what
asks.
question.
Did you do this on stage?
No.
No, because
But guess why you didn't do it on stage?
Because I sat like my friends down in a living room to do it, and before I even got to the second question,
How soon did you bail though? On like you were committing and they weren't laughing.
Like, you know what it feels like to bail on a new premise.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine
I
being
do it a
that
lot.
committed.
To your friends in a living room. Yeah, I mean it's so hard.
I would say they uncommitted so fast.
Okay.
Because they literally ran out of the room.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
didn't
when they
even-
saw the vagina.
When they saw the vagina, they took off running.
So maybe this has still got legs.
No, I don't think it does.
they might have just been offended that you were a prop comedian.
I like that you always presume he's performing for like really intellectual, smart
I
audience
thought it was
members.
an open mic because we've all seen the strangest things in the world
Yeah.
at open mics. But
I've
yeah.
never attempted anything bizarre like that at an open mic. Like I went to like 3 before I actually started. So I was like, no, I'll just bomb with regular bad material.
I had
Yeah.
a friend. He did this.
A vagina prop ventriloquist act.
Which if that shows up in 2 years because of this podcast,
What
I'm
a
coming
treat.
after you.
It might work if you wrote some jokes for the vagina. You just made the vagina
Yeah,
go.
but then you don't. Yeah, you still don't want to be the guy that does it.
No,
Or maybe
I
you
mean,
do. I don't
Maybe
know.
I
Maybe
mean, we'll see how my next few years
Well,
go.
it was hard for us. That's why we just
You're
paused.
gonna be the one to take it.
No, we just paused because we know we don't want to be that guy who does it.
Exactly.
Yeah, never in my mind was
I'll
like, this
never
is the
do
thing.
it.
Yeah, but
yeah,
Heel
that
Marsh
doesn't mean
just might.
somebody pops up and it is successful, and I'm like sharing the video. Like, did you see this vagina guy?
Yeah, it's like you missed
She
an
wrote some good
opportunity.
stuff.
Yeah, he really wrote this. This is good stuff.
Performing
I
it
will
really
quit
well.
my job the moment you,
You should
send
go
me
to
that
America's
video.
Got Talent.
Yes. It's all blurred.
That'd be Japan's Got Talent.
Oh yeah. In Japan, you can put anything on.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was like,
If it's a wiener, it gets blurred, but not the.
Yeah.
that's where we draw the line.
So you're married
Indeed, yeah.
and you have kids, and you
Uh-huh.
post some pretty funny stuff with your kids. I enjoy it.
Which
Oh,
kid's your
good.
favorite?
None. The one I get
None.
Yeah.
Neither.
Nah, that's
Not I don't have a favorite. It's neither.
no. The question is, which one do you naturally get along with more?
Okay.
And it's the middle one.
Middle.
Yeah.
No one's ever said that.
It's personality. We're the same.
I'm the middle kid, so I appreciate this very much.
Yeah. We're the same human.
Are you the middle?
No, as the youngest.
Oh, weird.
But we just.
But that explains you're a comedian.
But
Yeah.
she's the natural performer of the group. She's she's like me in that she has 2 emotions, which are like silly and fun and rage. Like those are the 2.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
She's gonna be a great dad.
Yeah, like she'll like she's so funny and she's gonna be a great dad. And then sometimes she'll like rage and kick my wife, and I was like, I know I shouldn't
I
be
was gonna
laughing
kick
at
my
this,
wife,
but I
but this
get it.
is so funny. This is- like seeing an 8-year-old kick their mom is funny every time.
Absolutely.
Does she know that you feel that way?
Oh like my daughter?
Yeah.
No,
Is she like,
no.
oh,
But,
dad's
like,
gonna love this.
But she's no, it's not a favorite thing. It's really just like it's who do you naturally jive personality
Right.
with? Like my son, who I adore and respect, like he is great in all the ways that I am not great.
Interesting.
And he's like super emotional and like I just like in the way that he is, I'm like, I don't get you. I really love you.
Fascinated by you.
But
too.
I can't understand the way that you tick. Whereas like him and
Is he like your wife?
me and my wife have been together long enough. Yeah, yes, personality wise,
Sure.
they're much more similar, you know. So It is interesting because, like, you pick any random 3 people in your life, regardless if they're your children.
Okay.
There's gonna be ones that you naturally chat more with.
Sure.
You know,
it flows better. Yeah. Wait,
yeah.
so if you're getting on an airplane, you, your wife, your 3 kids, you're flying somewhere vacation, who you sit by? Your wife? Or you sit by the middle kid?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I have an add-on to that later.
Well, yeah. Let's see here. We're 5, so we're taking almost the whole row.
Absolutely. There's going to be a 2 and a 3.
Some poor soul.
Yeah. I've been that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it and it's fine, but what I don't like is when like it's like Southwest or something like that, and somebody in boarding group Z97 gets on and they're like, I have to sit next to my kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, like,
do you
what am I gonna do? Make her put her kid next to me, or
you have friendly face disease,
so I just get up. Yeah, I'm like, I know I'll get up.
You have friendly face disease, which also means you can. If it's a Southwest flight, your middle seat is the first one getting taken.
And that's great because I'm the opposite. Because I'm a giant. So like if I sit by the window, I'm just hoping another big dude comes and sits in the aisle so that there's just a middle seat between us that nobody's gonna want to sit in. Next to 2
and then
giant
here comes
people.
Aaron and boarding group Z, like, what's left?
And I just,
there's no space here.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
I've actually got like shtick for it now too.
Yeah.
Where like I'll like sit, like if I'm boarding afterwards, like if I just like I'm running late or something.
Yeah.
I'll sit in the middle. I just look for the exit row. I don't care if it's 2 big fat guys. I'm going to sit in the middle one because I need those leg space.
Yeah,
My knees are shot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll always be like, sorry, guys. I know you wanted no one to sit here. I know you wanted to be a beautiful woman, but I'm taking it. And you can hear other people in the rows like laughing.
I got
Or I'll walk down the aisle and go, whose day am I going to ruin today? And that gets a laugh usually. But usually I'm already on. And I'm on my window seat. And then a family comes and like, hey, do you mind moving? Because we're with our kids. I was like, nah. All right.
To get you
That's
out
when
of
you bring the finger back, dude.
No, I do it.
to get you out of the window seat is pretty impressive. Like
They would do it all the time.
I'm more like I feel like the aisle. You're more like because you're almost out of the row already.
You're the closer to out.
I have
It's
a
just
bit
one
about
push out.
liking the window seat. I used to, but I actually prefer the window seat for that because that I feel trapped on that window seat.
Oh,
sometimes.
I'm not going to get up. I'm the best window seat occupant.
Yeah.
Because I don't bother anyone. I don't talk to anyone. I barely move because I'm just leaned on that wall.
Yep.
And I will never get up to go to the bathroom. It could be like a 12-hour flight. I'm not getting up.
You sleep,
I
right?
will not because I don't want to burden them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be like, God, this guy's on the window and he keeps getting up. So
I like that power.
I follow those rules.
You're the captain of the row from there.
Yeah.
You're in charge of that.
Have you ever had a girl's? This has happened to me so many times. It's so uncomfortable. Where like I'll be asleep in like the middle or something or the aisle.
Yeah.
And instead of them waking me to go to the bathroom, they'll just like crawl over my. And that wakes me up. You know, and I'm like, why would you
I
not
wish
just
you would have
wake
tapped
me?
on my shoulder.
Yes.
This would have been
You
so much
can't
better.
Crawl over a
'cause
stranger that close.
An ill-timed photograph of you at that moment, and you're ruined.
Oh, there goes
I'm
the
asleep.
career.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're passed out.
A woman in a North Face jacket is straddling me. I think they'd understand that it's
I don't know.
not
If
sexual.
you, certain angle where they can't see your face to see that you're asleep.
Yeah.
It's just your hands like this.
Yeah.
And they're like, uh-oh.
Jeff has sex with a fully clothed woman in front of 48 people in image on Alaska Airlines. I don't think it's going to hurt me.
While wearing a sleep mask.
I don't know.
I told you that. So I saw you on a plane once. Do you remember this?
You were traveling with another comedian.
With Zoltan.
With Zoltan.
And this was we were on,
It was like a comedy plane.
we were tiered based on success.
It was amazing. Daniel Tosh was in front of us.
No. DL Hughley was in the very front row. And he was like dressed to the nines, and he was,
He had a big dumb hat.
It was all that we were tiered based on 2 things. One, how close you were to the front of the plane, and how far you had to go when you landed.
Oh, yeah.
So we were flying into Dallas, and DL was doing a thing in Dallas, like with George Lopez or something like that. So he had nowhere to go. You had like a couple-hour drive, and I don't remember where.
Like
to.
a university or something like that.
Yeah. And then Zoltan and I back by the bathrooms. You were in business class. You were in between us and DL, and we were whacked by the bathrooms, and we had to land to drive 6 hours to go to Little Rock.
So, I do remember sitting on a plane where Daniel Tosh was in front of me with his opener, and then it was like me and maybe I was traveling alone, and then there was some comics behind us, and I thought that was the same flight. So I'm getting it mixed up.
It happens when you.
But I got to just watch Daniel Tosh for a whole flight, and it also might have been the last time he's ever flown public again. Like he's like has his own plane.
Can you tell that story on here? You told me once of the Daniel Tosh like surfing.
Oh yeah,
and, like,
great story.
Have you told this on the?
I've never told the podcast. I wonder if Daniel will get mad, but
I've retold this story a few times.
So great. But that story is I got to study Daniel Tosh. I'm so obsessed with him and fascinated by him, and he's such a weird person. But he's great. I love him, but he is an odd duck.
He's unique.
One of a kind. And he's like on the plane, and he's just sitting here like this, like just. It looks like he's just practicing the opposite of yoga. Like, how do I anger meditate?
How to be as stiff and angry and non-flexible as possible.
It was just like he was just so upset, like, to be on this plane. And there's a little girl, little baby, that's just kind of like looking over the seat because the mom's got her like this. So her little girl's facing backwards. And Daniel is just staring like
just mean mugging the baby
through the baby. And most people would like smile or like try to get the baby's attention. It's like, baby. It hasn't learned to be bad yet. It hasn't learned any evil or anything.
Yeah.
And Daniel was just the whole flight he just did so many weird things like that where
just
I was like,
peculiar guy.
Such a unique man.
Yeah.
The story with surfing with Daniel Tosh is, he said, the first setup to it is even funny. He said, only 3 things last year made me laugh. What a great line.
And do you believe it?
Yeah. I do believe it, yeah. And one of them was like just like a joke on Bo Burnham's special or something like that. One of them was he was in traffic and a guy riding the opposite direction as him was wearing a clown nose. Like while he was riding, he thought that for some reason that struck him.
Yeah.
And then the other
Didn't
one was...
he ask you too, like before when you first met, I was like, you still wearing neon or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's got the best disses. Like I could talk
That's
for
so
40
specific.
minutes.
Like,
I could talk for 40 minutes on interactions I've watched him say to other people that are incredible. The third thing that made him laugh was he was surfing and he surfs alone, I think pretty often. I mean, back then it was like every morning or whatever. I don't know. I'm guessing he surfs a lot. And he was out there surfing, and there was like 3 kids surfing in the other like area near him. And one of the kids shouted to him, "Hey, Daniel, where's all your friends?" And then they all just started laughing. And he said, he was like, "Yeah, that got me. He got me." It's also his exact brand of humor.
Yeah, it's so on brand for him. Exactly.
It wasn't a bunch of teenagers like, "We love your show, you rule." It was like, no, the little asshole kid is what made him laugh.
Well, and it's so funny because in that moment, you know, you have some celebrity, you assume like, I don't really want to get recognized. Am I here to be anonymous? Oh, this kid wants to say hi. Hey, Daniel, where are all your friends
It's
at?
so good.
Just to the core.
And it hurt him hard.
Yeah.
Like, oh, oof. He's so right.
Right. Well, that's the thing with like, you know, we try our best to ignore comments and insults and stuff like that, but sometimes somebody will hit you in just the right way, and you're like, that's very funny. And
that's Daniel's gift.
Yeah.
Like Heath Heitch is an impressionist comedian.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nicest, sweetest dudes. I love Heath. He's like a very, very nice guy. But on stage, he'll like put on a wig and he's like, "I'm an Asian guy now." And then he'll like put on a different wig and be like, "I'm Matthew McConaughey." All right.
Right.
That's his thing. He does Disney and like cruise ships. He got off stage and Daniel goes, "I hate 10 comedians and you're 8 of them."
Oh my gosh.
What a great, and it's just lost forever. Nobody ever, like, he didn't do it on like a roast battle or something. He just did. It was so
to be on this podcast.
Yeah, well, now it will. Yeah, and he's going to be like, "Why'd you tell that story?" What was I going to say? Oh, so I was asking about your family because I want to know. I'm very fascinated with just marriage in general.
Right.
I'm kind of obsessed with it. Yeah. For a guy who's probably never going to be married and has like...
Do you want to?
No interest.
Okay, you have no desire.
No interest. But I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it the way like I'm obsessed with like documentaries about Hitler. I know he's bad. I know I shouldn't. Like, I'll watch anything about Hitler.
The record show, Hitler is marriage. Marriage is Hitler.
It's not the same. But just the idea of like...
Yeah, Jeff watches those because Hitler was married, and he's like, I can't believe he did that for so long.
Well, that's the thing. Is like in my mind, I'm confused. I'm like fascinated by a lot of things that I don't cook, and I watch any cooking documentary.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about arm wrestling, but if there's a good documentary about arm wrestling, so I think I'm very fascinated with marriage because it seems like it completely contradicts what animals and humans do, and yet we put ourselves through it. All of it. I don't like Terry Bratchett's been married 5 times.
Yikes!
Right?
One for each Super Bowl.
And, yeah, well, if he had more,
right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, like, in his mind, wouldn't you think to yourself, "Oh, I've lost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not good at this marriage thing." But they don't. They do it again.
Yeah.
Carson couldn't stay monogamous for longer than like 3 months, but he just would. He's something so intoxicating about love that he's like, yeah, let's do this again.
Duff Davidoff has that great bit about love. Like, if love were a drug, people are like, dude, stay off that, man. You could lose your house.
and it is, that's how powerful it is that people go, it's been a great year. I love this person. I've loved them all year, that I think I'm ready to give him the rest of my life.
Yeah.
A year? That's the sample study?
Yeah.
Like, I could hang with anyone for a year. Like, what are you talking about? They're just like, yeah, the rest. I think forever is good. And then they realize that, like, maybe I only had 10 years of this person in me, and like I don't want to do this anymore. But so every old guy tells me, a lot of comedians have told me, they're just like, I can't do it, blah blah. And then I've met a lot of people through the church, and I've met a lot of people, especially a lot of Mormon people that come to my shows in Utah.
Thank you.
They give me very beautiful. They give me like very beautiful commercials for marriage.
Yeah.
But whether it's a good marriage or a bad marriage, or no matter what my jokes are,
Right.
I am still very obsessed with the notion of marriage. And what makes it more interesting to me is you're a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So I've met a lot of comedy wives.
Yeah.
They're 2 camps. And there's the ones that love going to the comedy shows and they love what their husband does. And then there's the ones that hate going to the comedy shows. They hate what their husband does. They see it as like this mistress that steals their husband at night. And they're like, oh, I've heard all his jokes. And the camp of that comedy wife is 90% of comedy wives. It's a way bigger camp.
Yeah.
So your wife, is she a part of like your act? Is she in the act? Does she like that you do comedy? Is it a sensitive subject?
No. I think this is the thing I talk the most about on podcast interviews, because and people are interested by it, because it does seem they don't seem to jive naturally. But my wife is a part of the act, but not in any derogatory way, because that would be disingenuous. Like, I like my wife. I enjoy her.
Would you say you love your wife?
Yes, I love my wife. But
just
more importantly, I like my wife.
Great,
you know what I mean? Like,
Like, you also worded that like a lawyer.
Yeah, I was hitting
would you say you love your wife?
For the record, yeah.
Like you're being like questioned about the death of your wife.
Right, like, I felt like
she was listening. You're like, I like my wife. She's like,
Shawshank. Like, yeah, I was like,
what would you say you love her? Because jury, did you hear the way?
I'm covering your bases.
I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, no, you never know what's going to be used against you these days. This podcast interview.
Fact.
If I went up there and did the old take my wife routine, that would be disingenuous.
But you do sort of get agitated with your wife. So if you wanted to write a joke about how you're agitated with your wife, it wouldn't be disingenuous.
No. And so, I talk about like marriage in general. And then I'll talk about how I know my wife is, like, the bit that I've been doing recently, how I know my wife is for me is because her annoying stuff doesn't bother me that much.
I like that. And that's sweet.
And but I will then say her annoying thing.
Exactly. Then you got to break into the annoying.
Because they do kind of annoy me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I go up there, I can just be like, oh, my wife. Yeah. It's like, first off, that's been done.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And I like the idea of having, like, is this guy saying kind of nice things about marriage? And
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, like.
Although the argument that it's been done doesn't necessarily work, because if you know a lot of your audience members are agitated about their relationship, it kind of would be therapeutic for them to hear jokes. Yeah,
I speak about the hardships of marriage, but not the flaws of my wife.
That's great.
You know,
how you put it.
Yeah, like I'll say, like, like marriage is a marathon.
Yeah, since we're not in your act, what are the hardships of your wife?
You just have to come to the Comedy Palace on December 28th, 7:30, 9:36 to the Comedy Palace.
So my comedy Buddha, Jerry Seinfeld, who I often reference, just recently was on Thanksgiving. Actually, he was on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, did the monologue.
And but in his interview is all I care about. Like, I'm obsessed with his little tidbits of wisdom. But he was saying, like, he has a whole bit about how his wife can have a baby with like no drugs. She's doing it natural. She's not gonna take any pain pills. No, nothing. However, if in the car the slightest bit of air is blowing on her face, like it's the biggest problem in the world. Like, how could she be so savage in this moment? But then, just the temperature being 1 degree, that will send her through the roof. And he goes, "That's not a true joke. That's not even true about my wife." And
interesting.
And he said, "But I do it because I do think that's a funny thing."
Yeah.
And my wife. I'm going to screw up the quote, but he says something about, he's like, "Yeah, I'll do jokes about my kids. We're a comedy family and everyone has to do their part." But what a great idea. Yeah, and I think about that all the time. I've called my dad homophobic so that I can do bits that I criticize homophobic people.
Yeah.
But instead of making it some generalization about homophobic people,
why not throw your dad under the bus?
I'll make it about my dad's got to do his part. He's part of the comedy family. Yeah. And so
that's true. So I have a bit
that way the audience isn't being offended of he's talking about Republicans or he's talking about conservatives. I'm not saying it about them.
Yeah.
I'm saying it about my dad, and I make those arguments and they go, "Oh, what he's saying to his dad is kind of true. Maybe I should."
I do the same thing. I do a joke about being honest with kids, and I say, you have to be real. I have 3 kids. One of them's dumb. And then, but what I get to is a bit about how we put too much pressure on grades, and that's not the whole person. And the kid stays anonymous. I never say
which
Gloria.
One?
That's the joke. I say I'm not going to say which one, but the other 2 know. They know.
That's funny.
We're really just good. Playing around with the idea, and they've heard that joke because when you do shows in churches, every once in a while your kids can come to it, and they're like, "Hey, which one is?"
Yeah, you're like, "It's all of you."
Yeah, it's a 4-year-old. She can't talk well yet.
No, it's all of you.
Yeah, it's all of you.
I say it's one of you because it's funnier, but you're in a comedy family. Do your part.
Yeah. Keep the grades up. That's how I motivate them to do well in school. It's a real ironic twist. But
Bill Dwyer does a whole bit.
Dwyer.
You know Bill Dwyer?
No, I'm just Dwayne,
Dwight.
Dweeb.
Dwayne, Bill Dwyer Johnson.
Bill D. Wire.
Bill D. Wire. That's what he should change it to. Talk about rebranding and everything. Man. So he has a bit where he
comedy
makes
zones across the country.
He makes fun of his kids, and he wants to. So he's like, I love my kids. I love 3 of my kids. And he does things like that where he talks about how he doesn't love one of them. But he doesn't have 4 kids.
Oh, there you go.
He has 3. He's made up a 4th kid just for his act.
Yeah.
And he just viscerates this kid. He talks about how ugly he is. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, we don't even invite him to the house. He sleeps somewhere else." And it's really funny and absurd.
Do the act that makes you happy. If it channels the reason that I don't have a dumb kid. My kids are pretty smart, way better than I was. But the heart behind that bit that I'm trying to express is don't put unrealistic expectations on kids. Don't pressure them on grades. Know that there's more than just grades, and that's the real emotion. So it's a genuine bit in the sense that I'm using this in the same way with your dad bit. Yeah, I have an idea I want to express here, and you're just characters.
Which is the point. Anybody can tell a true story that happened to them that's funny.
Right.
Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
Art is turning something and giving it to them.
And the best kind of comedy to me is when there's some point of view that was expressed.
Sure. Well, if you write a joke, a very funny joke that has to say your wife is annoying.
Yeah.
How would she like that? Or would she not like that? Would that be problematic?
It probably depends
she
on the
would not
specifics.
handle that.
Well, this isn't to sound like all high and mighty and look at how good our marriage is, but it will stand that. I do think that my willingness to go, okay, is part of the reason that our marriage works.
Because you're flexible and you
like,
also care about her feelings.
I don't.
Like Louis would have been like, nope.
Yeah.
He does not care. Like this is what pays the bills.
And
you're
my
like,
wife
no, I
before
love my
comedy. I hope to have my wife after comedy. Like all of these. Like if my wife said
after comedy.
I did the same thing. Went after comedy.
Well, it's
heaven.
Yeah. That's the Don Rickles joke. Somebody said that Don Rickles died the way every comedian wanted to die, with dates on the calendar.
That's a good line. And he also died like he was about to go on stage, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he every night went up, and like the week of his death, he was doing shows.
It was roast battle. Roast battle killed Don Rickles. He couldn't live.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anything would have kept him alive.
Well, so besides your show, December
12/28.
Besides December 28th at the Comedy Palace in San Diego, which is a great little place.
Yeah, it's a fun room.
You live down there.
I live in San Diego.
Are you in the fam ever going to move up? to Los Angeles?
It's funny, we were talking about that a bunch yesterday because we came up and we went to the Conan and Friends show because I'm good friends with Taylor Tomlinson. We started together down there, and she was on the show, so we got us tickets, and we were kind of talking about, I think every time we come up to LA, because on average I'm in LA like once or twice a week, and especially like this month where I'm not on the road at all, I stack it a lot. I'm here like every couple days, and we were talking about it, and there are times when we're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm a professional comedian. I can live anywhere I want, and LA is expensive, but so is San Diego.
Sure,
like, it's not really that, but I think that we're too in it with the kids.
Sure.
Like I have a middle schooler, a fourth grader, and a 4-year-old. Now, a 4-year-old is flexible.
If you move, it's going to ruin their whole thing.
That's what I feel like. I've already put them in this borderline cats in the cradle situation with working the road a bunch. And I'd be like, hey, and I'm going to uproot you from your friends.
Yeah,
I was like,
they're going to go crazy if you do
I feel like the game has changed a little bit in comedy where it's not as important to live in LA or New York as it once was.
It's not, but like if you, like for pilot season, a lot of comics that like just have families like Sean Cole and those kind of guys, like what they did when their kids were younger was they would just rent an apartment here for a whole month during pilot season. Yeah. And that's expensive, but you also comedians, you could crash
stay in your
somewhere
guest
for
room.
you could stay down there.
We would move up here if I got a show that got a second season. There you go.
Oh, wow, that's good. Oh, nice. You would have to have a proof of concept.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not, if you think a development deal is going to get me up here, incorrect.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we'd get you up here. Their family would stay down there.
They would be stuck.
That's true,
You'd get a new family, I think.
It's 2 hours. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's an easy drive and a beautiful drive.
It's nice. Yeah, it's ocean
it's also
most of the way.
People say it's 2 hours that live in San Diego that want you to go. Like it's not that bad.
It's 2 to 5 hours.
Optimists, say that it's 2 hours. I say it's 2 hours. On certain days, it's 6 hours. Like it is.
Yeah,
it takes a lot.
It's 2 hours if you leave right now. But
Adam
when you came up
Ray
here,
did my room about a few months ago. Another Seattle guy. Obviously, everyone knows Adam Ray. And that show starts at 9 p.m. And he left at 8:15 and made it in time for his headlining set.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but if he'd
have left at 4, he'd have been there in probably 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't have saved him a lot.
Or no, 8. Probably.
Leaving late's the way to do it. The drive home is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
There's
unless your car runs out of gas or whatever. Remember?
yeah, I know what you're looking at me
that
for.
sounds like a personal
It
story.
wasn't his fault. I just was running it too empty, and then Aaron, I think I was drunk or something. I was asleep, and he's like, "Hey, man." We're out of gas. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, we're on the freeway. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was very scary. We figured it out. Wait, so besides that show, December 28th at the Comedy Palace, do you have anything else you want to plug? How can people find you?
I'm at Dustin Nickerson. It's Twitter and Instagram, all the thing, DustinNickerson.com. This comes out in a couple weeks. If you're listening in Wisconsin, I'm headlining Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, Wisconsin,
I've heard good things about
January
that club.
3rd through 5th. And also I have a podcast called Don't Make Me Come Back There, a funny podcast about family. So all those things.
Aaron?
You can find me at Aaron M. Marsh on all the social medias. And you can find me on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you found it, you're already here.
You're
Good
here.
for you.
Yeah, they live here
Nicely
now.
done.
Yeah.
TR.
You can follow me at I am Tony Reavis on Instagram and Twitter.
And
Nice.
Doing some gaming stuff.
Big announcement. We're going to be shaking up the gaming channel. Me and Tony are going to be
Hopefully.
rebranding a lot of things and doing some cool stuff. And so
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for some exciting news about that. What else was I going to say? I love you guys. And that's it. Thanks for being
dude.
on, Dustin.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Friendship.
How about that episode? Dustin, thank you so much for being in the Fortress of Solid Dudes. We love you, brother. Yeah, a lot of really fun stuff we talked about. I could have talked to him for 5 hours. He was such a nice guy, and maybe it's because he's from the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest, like me and Tony, Adam Ray, who got a little mention on this, Andrew Slater, who got a little mention on this, Dustin Nickerson, all from the Pacific North. Not like that trash bag Aaron Marsh. Anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Patreon subscribers, we really, 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 really do appreciate you guys, and your money is going to good use, and I want to just really say thank you. It helps a lot. And yeah, don't forget to come see me at the Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio on New Year's weekend. I'll be there all week. So get tickets at funnybone.com and just go to Columbus and you can buy those tickets there. We'll see you next week.